career diplomat Ronald Austin Senior sought to give some clarity on the use of a diplomatic passport and what immunity applies. With more than 40 years in the diplomatic service, Austin is of the opinion that a diplomatic passport does not guarantee one immunity, and this is in regard to the laws of the visiting country.
Immunity means that you are accorded certain courtesies, say, as a minister, and that you ought not to be pestered, arrested, or that kind of thing. But if the country to which you're going, the officials concerned, for any reason have the belief or the understanding that you may not be entirely operating within the laws of that country, whether you have a diplomatic passport, a service passport, or an ordinary passport, they're going to stop you. And I've been following this matter a bit in the press. It is not true that ministers are never stopped and searched. They are. I mean, I think John Kerry was stopped, I think, sometime in Egypt a few years ago. And we had, I remember my own experience, Cheryl Miles, who was at the time the ambassador to Caracas, who in London, if I remember correctly, who was stopped and searched by the British officials. It all depends, it does not mean that diplomatic passport gives you automatic immunity, that you cannot be stopped and searched. That is not right. You're talking of the Geneva Convention of 1961. That deals exclusively with diplomacy and diplomats. If you go through the convention, there is no specific reference to ministers. The courtesy given to ministers is at the discretion of the government concerned. And those ministers who are traveling to various parts of the world, when they get to the airport of the country concerned, it is the officials who accompany the minister who will decide how they are to be treated at the airport.
The former head of the Foreign Service Institute of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs believes that a diplomatic passport should be used when one is traveling on official business, while the ordinary passport should be used when traveling for personal matters.
But if a minister is traveling, for example, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs ought to inform, say, the State Department or the Foreign Office in Britain, depending on where they're going, to facilitate the entry of the minister or the top official. It's always best to tell the country concerned that you have an important official who will be passing through your airport. If you don't do that, a number of problems can arise.
He shed some light on the much publicized issue involving Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat, where the minister was quoted as saying that the airline arranged for courtesies to be extended to him to expedite clearance at the JFK airport. Mr. Austin said airline officials have no such authority.
I don't know why or how a flight attendant can have that authority. That is authority conferred strictly on the State Department officials, the Foreign Office officials, or the officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the country concerned. That is not something that any government can extend willy-nilly to a flight attendant or to anybody else. They'd be asking for trouble if they did.
A video surfaced on social media showing the minister walking with a border security officer and what appears to be two federal investigators. Minister Bharat said he was not questioned or detained. This was followed by the U.S. Embassy in an invited comment saying that the minister had a meeting at the airport, that he was not interrogated or detained, and that any further questions should be directed to Homeland Security.